Shit goes downhill. You would think guys would fucking pick up their game. And
they're not going to have a $39 million cap hit for a guy who's not there. Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago. And you know what that intro is. It's time for the two-back set with my guy, the draft doctor himself, the guy you can find on IG. He's not much of a Twitter guy. You can find him on IG. You see it right there at Phil_Toshin. My man, Phil Toshin. Phil, what's up, Papa? How are you?
It never gets old, that two-back set open. I tell you. I love it.
Dude, so you know what's funny is, so you saw my lineman in there who just jumped up as I was scoring a touchdown. So yeah. I hadn't seen him since we graduated. Okay, I ran into him. So one of our former players, one of my teammates, lives out here by me. A lot of those guys live out here by me. And he's like, you know what? I'm having some of the guys over. So we got together, and he was there. And I was like, oh my God. And it was I think it might have been the first week we did that Ivan had put that together. And I was like, His name is Mauro Francesi, big Italian dude. Big, he's like 6'3", 6'4". And I was like, Mauro, we started talking like, dude, I can't believe, it's been so long and this and this. He's like, man, he goes, I remember, my favorite memory of us is when we're playing Leo High School. He goes, in that Leo game, and when you scored that long touchdown, I was like, hold on. I said, well, you're part of our show. He's like, what? I showed him the thing. He's like, no way, dude. That's cool. I was like, yeah, brother. I was like, see, it says you're always on my mind, Big Moro. You're always on my mind. So yeah, that's awesome, dude. Hats off to our guy, Ivan, who, man, he keeps coming up with funky ass shit like every single day.
I'm trying to think of what song is that.
May kick a little something for the G's and
I knew there was a lyric.
Gin and juice.
Yeah. My wife would have got that right away. If she's watching, she's probably like, come on, you didn't know that?
She's like, let me call him right now.
Yes.
Let me call him right now and tell him.
She did call me earlier today. She's like, so every Friday you're on with Shawn. I go, yep, I'm his Bears update guy. I'm his go-to. Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, man, we got some key dates, man.
Yeah.
July 27th, the Players Report. So that is a Tuesday. The reason I know that is because my birthday is July 25th.
I know. Garrett's birthday with Walter Payton.
Yes.
And the smartest man. Look at that.
And my guy Armando Lara.
Oh yeah, Armando. Our guy.
Yep.
Is he in the chat today?
He is. He said I didn't know that gin and juice. He didn't know. I get it, Mondo. You're not really a hip hop head, Mondo. That's okay. Junior. I get it. But yeah, so we share a birthday as well, dude. And like I told you, I think I know 4 other people with my birthday. I'm like, first of all, I'm older than you. Well, I'm not older than Junior, but everybody else I'm older than, so it's my birthday.
Yes. Except Walter Payton.
And the great man.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
Did you see Doug Plank jumped on our show and I had him talk about Walter Payton? for a little while. It was like goosebumps.
I didn't see the show. I was going to watch it today or tomorrow when I got around to it. But yeah, I tuned in. I didn't get to tune in. I tuned in late. If you saw, I left a comment.
Yeah,
there.
I did comment after the show. I was like, oh, I would have liked to talk about the field turf.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's funny. I was having this conversation, and I should talk to my guy Mark and be like, listen, at least just kind of bring it up, because you're in the room, so you're like, hey, why would you, not think about it when you have this team that you want, when you have this, it just doesn't make any sense. But then again, it's our Bears.
I always say, Shawn, Bill Belichick said on a Monday, listen, we're going to FieldTurf. That next Sunday they were playing at home on FieldTurf. The rest is history. I mean, they're a dynasty, and I get the historical stuff, but sometimes change is gonna come, as they say. Well, it is for the better sometimes, and the reality is, if you built a team with two, listen, I said it the other day, I'll say it again, even with Doug on the show. Olin Kreutz actually said, you look in the history of the NFL, every Super Bowl team has a first ballot Hall of Famer on it. We had Brian Urlacher, he said. That defense, and I'm paraphrasing, wasn't the same if he wasn't there, right?
Yeah, hell no.
So now you got Khalil Mack, who I believe is the best player I've ever seen since Walter in a Chicago Bears uniform. And you're putting him on a muddy soil, slippery turf that you don't know what you're getting each and every Sunday. Then on the other side, you have a guy that has more bend than Beckham and Robert Quinn, and you're putting him on a shitty surface. You're paying. It's not like you're not paying millions of dollars.
And millions.
Millions. Where's millions? And the reality is, wouldn't you want that to be an advantage for you? Now, in Olin's term, he was like, well, we did have the advantage because we were able to slow people down, use our run game, and that team was built with Reuben Brown, Garza,
Thomas Jones.
Yeah, exactly. They were freaking ground and pound. Lovey, we got off the bus running. Now you got Matt Nagy. He forgot what a run play is. So wouldn't you think that this would be the time to benefit the new era of the Chicago Bears to do. Don't be about it, do about it, George. And get FieldTurf put down so every game, all your functioning, all the high school games, all the college, whatever, is played on that, and they're not ripping up the field for what the field is meant for, the Chicago Bears. I mean, to me, it's like 12 years past due.
You look at all the fast teams. You want a fast track. It just makes sense. You're not gonna. They don't run a 100-meter dash in sand or in mud. Okay, they run on a rubber track. Okay, get these guys on the track. The greatest show on turf. Okay, they didn't. They had turf. They didn't have grass. They didn't have hybrid. It was turf. It was a fast track. You built the team for a fast team, and now you're gonna keep them there. And Alex posted, now the fire plays there, they're gonna keep it grass. Hell, yeah, they are. But you know what? You could play. Hey, here's a little thing for all you soccer guys. You can play soccer on turf, on FieldTurf.
Yeah,
I don't know if they knew that. I don't know if they knew that or not, but you can. But for whatever reason, it bugs me. These are the common sense things. Okay. This is where you're not vibing. Okay. This is where you're not vibing. The upper, well, we're doing this. And then the team, this is where you're not just good football people. No, you just talked about Bill Belichick said, hey, we're going to FieldTurf on Monday, and Sunday they played on FieldTurf. It would take literally 48 hours to get it in, get it settled. Come on. And there goes all your problems. The park district doesn't have to resod it. That's a cost that you don't have to have.
Exactly.
it just
And
doesn't
Shawn,
make any sense.
listen, if the Chicago Bears grass was pristine, it wouldn't even be a concern, to be perfectly honest. But because we all know that they struggle keeping, I think the last time I had someone on a show that I talked to that was involved with the district, they had tried like 4 different strains of grass. From Kentucky, this, that didn't grow, then this other. So to go through those things on a playing surface alone when you have a resolution, it's 2021. The research shows, you know, one thing for whatever narrative you want. Let's just recognize what Shawn is saying. The preparedness is in the dollars and cents of your franchise. Now you got Demir Bird, Darnell Mooney, and Marquise Goodwin that are speedsters. You're trying to run an offense based on speed and RPO game and all of that, and you're putting yourself in an environment that you're, getting woodchucks and spraying that shit down, sawdust, and painting it green at halftime to make it look good for television when ultimately the players and the league, and they've had how many votes of player, what's the best service, what's the worst service, and the Bears are always in the top 7 worst surfaces throughout the league. So let's alleviate that, Ted and George, and just put down FieldTurf, put the C on there, fuck the Fire, and everybody else that you think is going to be playing on this field. It's the Bears. You want them to stay? Well, treat them like that is the most important thing in the world, and it just hasn't happened. It just hasn't.
So I'm excited. So they released the dates, as you said. July 27th is the players report,
Yes.
and August 3rd. So August 3rd is going to be Bears Family Fest. It's just really cool. So they practice at Soldier Field, and I'm sure they probably do the same thing in New England, but they practice at Soldier Field, and tickets are like $5 to get in. So you could bring your family because we know regular tickets are nowhere near $5, and so they usually sell out. They usually get a good, really, really good crowd, and it's your first time seeing it. And you know what? It's the Bears like up close. I'm still upset about. I'm still hurting about the Bourbonnais thing. I really am. I understand why they're not going to Bourbonnais. A lot more than meets the eye. A lot of behind closed doors, things are behind the curtain. Things that are happening and were not happening. So, they decided to get out early. But you know what? This is going to be fun. They're going to have 1,000 people there, which I'm still trying to figure out. I sent you pictures of that. So they're going to have, it says Bears practices are going to be open to 1,000 people. That's interesting because I don't know where they're going to fit 1,000 fans. I guess they got to get portable stands because there's no stands at Hallis Hall. So it's just, I don't know, but I'm excited to see this training camp. You're going to have to, there's going to be a lot of battles, position battles that I can't wait to see. Let's talk about the offensive line. We'll get to the quarterback one because that's the low hanging fruit. But the offensive line battle, talk to me about that one because we got 3 or 4 people or 5 people for the 2 guards in the center slot. We got Alex Bars, we got James Daniel, we have Cody Whitehair, we have Sam Mustafer, we have Eisen. What was your guy's name? Lincoln Eisen. Dieter Eisen. Dieter. You got there's 5 guys for 3 spots, and then not to mention the tackle spots. You got the 2 rookies. You got Jermaine Ifedi. You just signed another tackle as well. So there's competition. How do you think that's going to play out?
Well, you hope that they go and follow the narrative. If you can't preach, we're building competition everywhere, then go into camp and then, all right, we paid Ifedi all this money. Borum's a rookie. Let's just play Ifedi if Borum is playing better. That kind of stuff has happened years after years with this franchise, where other franchises recognize the best football players should play. I know it sounds simple, and people that are just learning the game or just love the game are like, no way. No, there's a lot of politics that go into football in Chicago. It's just not with all of the politics with the mayor and everything there. The crookedness happens on the football field, and it's unfortunate because you just hurt yourself. So hopefully, Coach Nagy and company have learned from their mistakes. And when I say that, it was the bubble wrap season where they just sat everybody. Now, last year, COVID obviously put aside all of the scrimmages and inter-squad practices. I know they have that going on this year with the Dolphins. So when I look at this offensive line, I get excited because they recognize Charles Leno was an issue, even though the Blog Boys couldn't and defined it as a big loss for the Bears. You got better by getting rid of him. So
Addition by
now
subtraction.
they're become addition by subtraction. Now you got Tevin Jenkins. You got to be excited about this kid. Obviously, he's a rookie, and you got some veterans in there that are going to be hopefully kicking down doors to get out there and beat Jenkins. So that only helps you as a franchise. So Juan Castillo and Coach Nagy are going to have to be step for step in how they see this offensive line going out there in training camp. And really, ultimately, Shawn, if I was the head coach, my battles would be won during those scrimmages. I want to, shuffle the deck. I'm going to give this guy this game or this half to start. I want to see him going up against for how many reps, going at it, going after it. And then we're really going to assess this and open that competition up to these players because they're young. Borum and Jenkins also have an attitude that we haven't seen here since Olin Kreutz and Reuben Brown and company were out there on the football field, where you knew as a fan or as a coach that you were going to be in for a day because that offensive line had an attitude about it that they were going to win that football game. So you got to be excited. Interiorly, James Daniels coming back off a pec injury. He was probably your best offensive lineman, and then he went to the injured reserve there. So he's coming back off injury. How does Sam Mustipher handle this? You know, I guess Nagy's crowning his ass, stealing from the famous Denny Green there.
God
I
rest his soul.
say that's the kind of stuff I worry about with Nagy. This is our set. No one has a job. Nobody. That's how you should stand in front of the media. Everybody's be working. We're going to find the 5 best. We're going to put them out there, and we're going to roll with them. They took, 15 weeks, 14 weeks to figure out their five best, and you saw it perform on the field. It helped the offense. You destroyed a 6-game losing streak that you tried to make a
Hype up.
positive out of. But yeah, hype that up. I'm gonna hype up, the competition's there. I hope, as Gary Williams would say, I hope there's hope here. And the talent's there. Like, I'm excited to see how James comes back. I want to see the battle between Dieter Eisland and Sam Mustipher. I don't want it to be just given to Mustipher. As I've said many a times, the proof is in the pudding. I've seen Mustipher play. I see the mistakes. I hope he worked hard on his body because he wasn't strong enough at the point of attack to be in a zone scheme. He has to be better. He says he works out, but we're going to find those answers out. Cody Whitehair coming back. Now he's going to stay at left guard. So that means James Daniels is going to be your right guard. Is it Fetty or Borum? Jenkins on the left. You got Alexander. You also have another veteran they signed, like you said. I can't remember the dude's name.
Me either.
And how they're going to play that off. It's going to be interesting because you know what? This team is going to win as many games as this offensive line allows them to win. So it's really in the hands of Nagy and Castillo. Now, as a coach, I would tell you, your offensive line coach is your number one most important hire. It is the most important hire you have in coaching because you have to trust that guy is a teacher, a motivator, and has his guys ready to do the things that you want to do as a play caller. And if Juan is kowtowing to Nagy and just giving Nagy what he wants to hear, then you're lost. So hopefully there is a real, true competition that goes on because you and I, Shawn, are going to show it on the film. I know on our network, we already have full intent. Again, the all 22 isn't given in the preseason, or else I would be going ballistic. So we got to do some other ways, but you still a game. You still could see the game within the game if you know what you're looking at. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make sure to recognize those players that should be starting. I'm too tired of seeing just jobs handed to people. And Iceland gets me excited. I can't help that. What I saw on his college tape, talking to the kid, and his story alone. I know Sam, undrafted free agent, busted his ass. Now he's in the NFL. That's a great story too. You got to have that hunger and that drive. Sam has it. So does Dieter. I think the center position is one of the most exciting things to watch in camp, and I'll be all over it, recognizing who's going to be that guy for the Chicago Bears. Because when you have a rookie quarterback or a veteran, that center position becomes very intricate to what it is you want to do.
Yeah, and I forgot we didn't even mention Alex Bars too. I mean, that's another guy at the guard position that's going to be fighting for some spots, and I love it. I love it. And what I'm actually hoping that we have. I'm hoping we have like a University of Kentucky scenario from way back in the day when Rick Pitino was getting just all these blue chippers, and there'd be a whistle and you'd 5 in and 5 out. You had where you could literally just he'd have 8 blue chippers out of his 12 out of his 12 players on the team. And you talk about offensive lines and say, hey, listen, you look at teams and say, you know what, this team was successful. If you look at they had the same offensive line for 12 or 15 out of the 16 games, or now soon to be 17 this year. This case could be different, where you can literally plug guys in. So if someone gets hurt, so if a guard, Cody Whitehair gets hurt, well, Alex Bars can step right in because he's already played a whole season and nothing is lost. It's literally next man up. It's seamless. And I think that's where the Bears are going with this. And if that's the case, that could be the blueprint for a lot of other teams to, because you get backups. You're like, oh, I want this guy here who can do here, but you need quality backups. And that's going to do a lot for the free agents, the undrafted free agents, to say, hey, listen, let's start taking a look at some of these guys because they came from a Yale, a smaller school, or a Holy Cross, or a Northern Michigan, or something like that. Let's see what they got, because these are the guys that are really, really, really hungry because they know the odds are against them. And these are the guys that say, hey, what would you do to make this team? Like, I'd run through a wall. Boom, they run through a wall. Those are the kind of guys you want on your offensive line.
Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, Parcells, they understood the undrafted isn't nobody. They decide to write their story. Mm-hmm. Those are the coaches that recognize it. And it's unfortunate with Chicago, you see the Bob Christians, undrafted, then he makes the team. He goes on to be a Pro Bowler with the Atlanta Falcons. These are the stories that I've seen happen with the Chicago Bears when you got a rough and you let it go somewhere else. You need to be able to recognize these talented football players. And again, I was just using a fullback off the top of my head. Todd Berger, if you remember him in the 90s, he was, a guy that undrafted out of Penn State. He worked his way, and they gave him a shot. To Tony Wise's credit, he recognized this kid could play for us. So that's what it is. Look at Arlington Hambright, 7th round pick. You recognized him. You scouted him. You drafted him. What does he have What does he have to say about the competition? That's what it is. It's how you are looked in the mirror. Do you want this? Because at that position, again, it's about technique and want to. Determination, as my father would say all the time. It's about the determination that you have. There's been times, Shawn, you and I know, we've been around people that are 20 times a better athlete than myself, but they didn't give a crap. They were good for nothing, we used to call them. And if you put your determination on that kid, that kid would have went to the NFL and maybe the Hall of Fame. It's just about an attitude. It's about preparation. So I never count anybody out. And I think there's another game out of Colorado. I remember Jay Lewinberg, Jay Hilgenberg, same thing. He wasn't drafted, went on to be great on the offensive line, Armand. You're 100% right. Jay Lewinberg with Wanstead out of Colorado. I remember him, undrafted. Don't worry about where they're drafted. Worry about how they perform. I always say this. We have a T-shirt now, Shawn, on our network for the Chicago Bears, for the change. Performance over politics. Just for this reason, because we got to get the best out there. We got to get the best out there. We want to win a championship. Let me tell you a quick story. A buddy of mine scouts for the New England Patriots. Well, he scouted this wrestler who stopped wrestling. All right? The Patriots signed the kid, end up becoming a starter on the offensive line at offensive guard. He played 1 year of football in high school. You telling me that isn't coaching and determination? That's the recipe. That's the recipe. You find the talent, you believe in it, and you get that person that has that determination. You could find starters. You could build off that. You can't just go and allow a guy like Charles Leonard to be out there because you saw that he gives. Oh, he's there every week, but he's not working on his craft. He's not dominating. If you're settling for below average, you're losing. That's the point we're trying to make here with me and Shawn, is that this competition on the offensive line, as much hype as it going with Justin Fields and Andy Dalton, I'm telling you right now, I'll never come on this show again if you don't believe me. The offensive line competition is the most important competition in this whole entire franchise going to this camp. That's the truth.
Yep. Agreed. And you know what? I'm looking forward to it because it's going to set the tone. It's going to set the tone for, and I played behind some just nasty some bitches, dude. And those are the guys that I mean, you just, yeah, and you know what? It makes football fun. It makes it more enjoyable because, and I know we want the pass. I know we want the the chicks dig the long ball. They like the 70-yard touchdown and everything. I get it. But there's nothing like, especially here in Chicago, there's nothing like seeing the Bears just run right down someone's throat and they can't stop it. They just cannot stop it. Yes, they do.
They got depth at running back. Again, David Montgomery calling out the coach when the coach doesn't know he's mic'd up. That moment, whether I believe David planned it perfectly to get, his
get him on tape.
Yeah, get it on tape. Tape don't lie. And the coach got. My father didn't like that he did it, but I did because I knew more so than my father that the coach doesn't know how important the run game is. You and I know that, but I think Matt Nagy has to recognize you can't just talk about it, coach. You got to be about it. And let's face it, Shawn, there's so much talent on this football team on paper.
Yeah.
And if you get that quarterback position right, you get this offensive line right, I already know what kind of running back you have, and I know what kind of defense you have. And then you're cooking on all cylinders. You're flying around, and you're gonna be winning the division. That's how I really believe in this football team's roster. The coach is the one unknown in this whole thing for me and for you that gives us, as Cool Kennedy would say, pause, because I just don't know or don't know what to expect with a guy that you think, okay, you learned from your mistake against the Raiders. No, you didn't. You gotta learn. No, you don't. You gotta learn from 2000. No, you don't. You say the right things, but you're still doing club dub after you won at one game after you lost 6. To me, that's not a time to do club dub. We'll do club dub when we go to the playoffs. How about that? And use that as incentive. We haven't earned that, but that's the kind of stuff. Again, a coach that's never been a head coach has to learn but that's what gives us pause. The run game, to your point, though, as I ramble, is going to be key to Andy Dalton and to Justin Fields. And most importantly, like I said, this competition, the offensive line. Because if you can't run block, then you can't get the pass block, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's the truth. Armando's dude, Armando's
I
nuts. So
didn't even
when he
read it.
played,
I
dude,
couldn't read it.
he said,
Don't
"Didn't
you
you play?"
play behind a guy? Yeah, he was your teammate, right?
Yeah, he was. It was a scrimmage, and I don't know if it was a scrimmage or not. I don't remember, but he took the dude's helmet off. I think it was. See, Armando would get into a fight. So that's how you knew the season was ready to start. He would pick on one of the rookies and get into a fight with him right at practice. And if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
he took. I don't remember if it was a practice or if it was an actual game where they got into a fight. And he took the dude, that grabbed each other's face mask. He took his helmet off and just started beating the dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's the dude I want to, like people like that are guys I want to run behind, because he's gonna beat you with your own helmet.
Yeah, you gotta like a guy that. Listen, as a coach, you would always say one thing and mean another
Yes.
in only that department. So I'm being very clear here, I hope. So when one of my linemen was like punching someone else, I'm like, knock it off. But in the back of my head, I'm like, I love this kid.
Love it. Love it.
I love
Love it. Love the feistiness.
Exactly. Let go. Get over here. I would even yell at him in front of his parents.
Everybody.
And then in the huddle, I'd be like, great job. I love that.
I do it. I would do it too. I would do it too. Like, hey, great job. Great job. Hey, way to stick up for your players. I love that shit. Keep it up. Keep it up.
Exactly.
No one understands out here except us in this huddle. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. You give him the wink.
Yeah, good job. Good job. I got to make it look good. And like, I got you, coach. I got you.
I got to make you look bad, but you really did a great job there setting the tone. Those are the guys you want.
Yeah, Armando was here. It is. He said the last practice before the start of every season.
He got the tone. Listen, football is a mental game. It really is. There's a lot of tough guys out there, but they get the pads on, they become something different.
Ain't that the truth? What did Yogi Berra say? Or Yogi Berra says it's sports is 90% mental, the other half physical.
Yes, very line. That's the truth. 90%, the other half
physical.
I love it.
Talk to me about this defense. I think I'm expecting a huge a bounce back year from him. One, I don't know if you heard, Eddie Goldman was in town, and they had shots of him working out yesterday. It wasn't at Hal's Hall, but it was at a gym pretty close.
10 pounds, Shawn. I'm like, Shawn could do that in his sleep.
Yeah,
I was watching the video. He had 2 plates and a 25 pound. So 45, that's 90. The bar's 90. That's 180.
It's 135 or 2.25 if you got 2 plates on. So 2.25.
Yeah. Plus the resistance bands.
Yeah.
He had the resistance bands.
That.
Yeah.
What's that?
So no, I was just saying. So yeah, so he's in town, and there was a lot of obviously speculation. Some Brad Biggs, your buddy Brad Biggs at the Tribune said that he's pondering retirement. And that's why they went out and signed the nose tackle from the Chiefs. They drafted Tonga, Mike Pennell. There you go. And if this guy comes back, it changes the total outlook, the whole complexion of this defense. And I think this defense, I'm ready, Phil. I'm ready for this defense to go ham, to literally, they talked a lot of shit about Khalil Mack. He's lost a step. He's this, he's that. Well, he's lost a step because he's being held. He can't take all the steps. He's being held. He's being literally held. Robert Quinn, I don't know where the hell he's been. Okay. But now we talked about Bilal Nichols.
Really banked up.
So you know what? Hopefully Quinn. And I don't doubt it. But my thing is, how are you taking care of yourself in the off season? How, to me, that was the most important thing for me, especially when I was playing, because I knew my teammates needed me.
Right.
And there was a strict routine that I did. It involved swimming, Dude, I stretched every night. Once before I went to bed. Once when I woke up. It was crazy. But I'm expecting a huge bounce back year. Talk to me about what you think about this defense with defensive coordinator in Shawn Desai.
I'm extremely excited about the talent. I mean, we broke down Pinal on X's with the O's. We broke down Mario Edwards Jr. and Bilal Nichols on X's with the O's last week. The talent on that defensive front seven is Super Bowl caliber. And to Sean's point, I'll put my name to this. No blog boy is going to write a negative narrative about Khalil Mack on my watch ever. What he does on defense is insanity, or as my buddy from Hofstra would say, from Brooklyn, it's bananas.
Bananas.
It's bananas, and it really is, because Khalil Mack is the most impressive defensive football player I've ever seen wearing that uniform. I'm sorry. I know that with a history like the Chicago Bear and Urlacher and Buckus and all of them, I just being around this game, watching the things that he does with the hurdles, being held, being triple teamed, but never ever loafing or being lackadaisical, and playing the run as the importance of the run. Let me just tell you something. Some guys that have gotten paid, if a run plays away, it's over for them. They're going to save their body, their brand for the next play. Not this dude. He's running down the football field, chasing it. It's just over. And then to have a former player, and I know I'm talking about Khalil Mack a little bit more than the whole defense, but I want this to be out there, and I want people to consume this. Talking to a former football player, teammate of the Chicago Bears, who's now playing with another NFL team, he said, Phil, there was two players that should have never been on the football field, number 52 and number 94. Those guys were so banged up, everybody in the locker room knew that they shouldn't probably be playing, but they were. So that made everybody's injuries or nicks and bruises that much more look in the mirror time. Like, I got to get out there if Khalil's playing, if Robert's playing. So he's that kind of player. And talk about a guy that got paid and still plays his best. I think this season, all the negative dummies, these blog boys, are going to look like the dumbest frauds that they are when they see Khalil Mack come out there, because I think Akeem Hicks is healthy. I think Eddie Goldman's going to be back. I love Bilal Nichols this year in a contract year. Mario Edwards, again, got suspended, but this is a guy that plays with his hair on fire every single snap. Bilal Nichols, are you kidding me? If he's allowed to push out to where he could play the 3 technique a hell of a lot more and play that outside 5 or 5-eye, this guy's going to be a dominant force added to you got to win those one-on-ones, because Khalil's taking those doubles. Akeem's taking those doubles. That's where I think Shawn Desai being a hell of a lot more aggressive. And here's another thing, Shawn. Every freaking snap, Robert Quinn's on the right, Khalil's on the left side, Khalil's facing their right tackle, Robert's facing their left tackle. There was never like, let's put them both on one side, let's put Akeem on the same side, let's run some stunts with them. Let's be creative and totally mess up a front. We had Coach Reinebold from the CFL. He was friends with Mark Trestman. He's also I forget how many years coaching experience. He actually got a call from somebody to when Trestman was the coach of the Bears. How should we play him? He's like, Mark hates those odd-looking fronts where you're going bananas, if you will, with those looks, putting those guys. Well, they had 6 sacks against the Bears that night. I'll have to go back and tell you next week who that was because I can't remember, but I thought it was important because somebody's doing their homework to actually study and game plan. What frustrates coordinators is the lack of know. I know what they're going to do. So I know what I have to do. If you don't know what they're going to do, now you're going to call your plays. That hasn't happened. Pagano was a huge disappointment
Big
with his
time.
predictability and his lack of aggressiveness. You hope Desai with all of these weapons. There's no reason that last year Roy Robertson Harris didn't play the edge with that kind of
Oh,
power and speed. It's just poor coaching. So hopefully Desai gets it. You got this young kid Gibson coming back. I know he's working really
Deshaun
hard.
Gibson?
Yeah, not Tevis Gibson, the kid they drafted
Tevis.
out of Tulsa. Tevis.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the defense, the edge rusher. I
Right,
hear
yeah.
good things about him coming back into this season. His body, he looks like he did the Swan. He transformed his body. So we'll see how he does. So those pieces of the puzzle, some of these young guys got to step up and see how they perform this season. But you know what you're going to get from Khalil Mack and then Roquan Smith being in a contract year.
He's
I
ready.
just think,
He's
yeah,
ready
he's just ready.
to explode.
You already see it. So if Danny T has anything left in the tank, Christian Jones they signed, who
Back,
former
baby.
Bear,
He's back.
back. So here's a guy that you know isn't, nothing against our friend Josh Woods, but Josh wasn't ready to play. He became a liability against the Packers. Every third down, Aaron Rodgers was looking to shallow cross. Where's Danny T? Where's Josh Woods? That's what it became. And those third downs turn into first downs. So the drive continues. It's all a game of chess. This defense, though, on paper, obviously the only area of concern is that cornerback position. How are they going to play Desmond Trufant? How is he going to be a replacement for Fuller? Or is it one of these other guys, Kendall Vildor, my boy Trey Robinson from the Canadian League? How is he going to come back after injury? I mean, he's an unknown. Michael Joseph, who's been here for 4 years, 5 years now on the practice squad, small school kid. He won the Walter Payton Award in Division 2 or 3
One
football.
double A.
One double A rather. How is he gonna play? How are
Yeah.
these people gonna show up? And Shawn Desai, how is he gonna coach? He's my possibility of MVP because if he coaches, real quick story. You talk about Armando Laura being from high school and teammate. Shawn Desai coached here in Connecticut. That's where he got his start. The football program was a rival program, and in regards to how I measure our league and how my father's coached in that league, Shelton High School in Connecticut was up there, man. They knew how to teach fundamentals. They were prepared. They always came at you differently. It was hard to scout them and get a handle on them. You were switching stuff up at halftime. They made you work. So Shawn comes from that history, and he's lasted all of these coaches. That gives me hope and excitement about how he's going to handle this being his name on this team with all the pressure that comes along with the position and the pressure that comes along with Matt Nagy and company, whether or not they have it or not. Whether their leash is longer than we believe or it is shorter. Shawn Desai knows this is my time. So how does he handle that? I really believe in the kid based on the history I know of him. So that's an exciting time for him and this Chicago Bears team because the defense, talk about bullets in a gun, you got it all locked and loaded right there. There's one question. Who's going to play that corner position? That's it. That's it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And if they can settle that, I think this defense is going to be amazing, dude. I'm telling you, I just think that front seven is going to finally get back. They're putting the band back together. Eddie Goldman's back, and You added a new member in Robert Quinn. And the thing that you mentioned, Phil, that I really wondered myself is why you didn't never put those guys on the same side. All right, just like the 046 where you had the two linebackers on one end. Just bump everybody down. Okay, you could bump everybody down and have those two guys. So now and still have the three technique, okay? And now but he's still over the guard. So now I got a tackle, and I'm a tackle. I got Robert Quinn in front of me and Khalil Mack to his outside. What the hell do I do?
Yeah, what do you do? That's putting a tackle in a listen, your job as a coach is to make someone think. That's what the whole game of football is. If you make them think, you got a step. And a step gives you a second, and the game is in inches, so a second gives you 3. That's what it is about. You have to make other people think. When you've done that, that's why there is a thing called play action. That's why there is a thing called a counter. That's why there is a thing called a screen. It's all about making people think they're doing something that's right when ultimately it's wrong. That's the game in its lowest, pulling all the layers back. Everything's about trickery and acting. The best route runner doesn't have to be a 4-2 guy. Just like Jerry Rice, he was a great actor. Now, maybe he couldn't act on a movie screen, but he certainly could act on the football field, making you think he's going to the fade, and then all of a sudden, his quickness gets him underneath you, and he's running a skinny post, and he's got you beat by 6 yards. That's a quarterback's best friend. Same thing on defense. I'm going to make them think we're playing man-to-man here, and then I'm going to roll that safety last second. We're in cover 2, and all of a sudden, we're intercepting the football, and we're taking it back for 6. It changes the whole dynamic and course of the game. So for somebody that loves gimmicks and trickery, the Chicago Bears, led by Nagy, have failed. They've been so easily. It's like that movie. You figured out the plot within 12 seconds.
Yeah,
it's
and you're like,
God, this guy's
we can leave now.
Yeah, why are we sitting here watching this? It sucks. So hopefully they get those things, but it's on both sides of the football. To your point, you've won. Even if you don't get home, you get a shot on that quarterback because he had to think, wait, who do I got to pick up here, Quinn or Mack? That's coaching.
Those two.
Oh my God!
Stunts, crosses, and oh my God! And
the New York Giants do that shit all the time. They're packaged with O.C. Umanure and
it was a 4 defensive end packages. 4 defensive ends.
Oh my God!
Justin Tucker, O.C. Umanure, JPP, and Strahan. Those 4. That's how they won the Super Bowl.
Can you imagine? Exactly, because they were giving you. What are we gonna do here? How are we gonna block this? Oh, if he comes on his twist game, now we're screwed. Because I already sold myself out. I turned my shoulders. Yep. In a game of football, you got to make them think. Yeah. Once you do that, you're done. That's what gets you excited. That's why I was so. Shane always talked about the famous Pagano quote. Well, once he took over, and Vic Fangio, say whatever it is you want. He was the reason Nagy got that Coach of the Year. Yep. What if there were definitely showcases where he was putting Akeem Hicks outside an edge rusher, standing him up. If you look back on it, and why not? He's 350 fucking pounds. Put him at an outside 9 with that kind of ability to move and be athletic like that, and it's 3rd down.
Momentum and force coming off that tackle.
Oh my God, that's a nightmare for a quarterback and an offensive tackle. Like, oh my God, now we gotta have the guard turn out. Well, guess what? We're doing a stunt underneath that with Bilal Nichols and Mario Edwards because you're focused so much on Akeem. Oh, and guess what? We got Khalil Mack on the other. It's like, do something outside the box. Stop winding them up like Dave once said. Here's Trace. There's Richard. There's this Jim Flanagan. There's Zorich. Let's just try to penetrate. No, that's not today's game. You got to get it. You got to do these things. You got the talent. That's the thing. It's going to be exciting. You and I are going to be going crazy watching this stuff again because this time there's no excuses. None of these blog boys can write excuses up anymore. This is Matt Nagy's 4th year. Let's get it right. Let's get it right.
Last thing before I let
I'm
you go.
excited.
You and me and Bear Nation is excited as well. Last thing before I let you go, Justin Fields was working with a couple quarterbacks down in was it Atlanta, LA,
Yeah, LA.
with the Jordan Love, the Packers. Oh, now they're starting quarterback until Rodgers comes back, and Deshaun Watson. No masseuses were around, but it was good because they all have the same they all have the same agent, which is cool. Talk to me about that for a quick second, like working out with your peers, with other young black quarterbacks. One who's had success in Deshaun Watson, another one who's trying to get success.
I think anytime you're surrounding yourself with good people, hopefully with Deshaun Watson, we know what he is as a player. I mean, I don't know what this whole scenario, how that's going to play out, being perfectly transparent. So I don't even know what his story is, but to do that, I think it's a great thing. I mean, anytime there's a fellowship or a brotherhood at a position, you talked about it last week when I was on the show with you, with the fellowship that the tight ends have down in Atlanta with Cole Kmet working with Kittle. It's no different than that. And when you get these guys that are alphas together, because we know what Deshaun Watson is, we know what Justin Fields is, and there becomes a competition there. And again, some people will see it, well, you don't want to be around the enemy, he's a Packer or whatever, but nobody even knows what Jordan Love is, what his story is going to be. You still hear Aaron Rodgers saying, well, I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer. I don't know. I don't know. He keeps saying that. So all we do know is he doesn't know. But what I do, stay away from massage parlors. I agree. But also believe in surrounding yourself and being in those places of competition. And the more you learn, just like in life, in art, in music, in coaching, we would go to coaches clinics with, coaches that were in the NFL, and there's NFL coaches listening from other teams to another coach talk about how they coach it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know what? There's one nugget that you could take from somebody that you could share or teach or use as a teaching moment. So how Justin Fields spends his time, if he's around, I don't know if people are negative about it, if that's why you're asking, but for me, I'm positive about it because the more time you're working on your craft, the better for me. And
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, say whatever it is you want about Deshaun Watson and whatever he did. The guy's a great football player, and we know, both of us know, the Bears missed on him and hopefully have gotten it right here. So I like it. I
do
it.
too.
And
because what you do is you compare. And there's always like, oh, okay, he did that. Now there's always that internal competition. Always. And you're getting a guy who's a Pro Bowler in Deshaun Watson, and you're seeing him. You've watched him in college, or you watched him when you were in college, even in high school, most likely. So you understood, and now you're working out with him. And you talked about little nuggets, and it's not big, life-changing things. It's little small things: how to hold the ball, how to do this, how to do that, how to move the safety a little better. Okay, for him to get that one step in the wrong direction, so you can come back the other day. All those things are awesome, and when you're getting it from a guy who's done it, it means so much more, because it means a lot coming from a coach. But when you get a guy who's done it and you've seen him do it, because you've seen him throw to Will Fuller, you've seen him throw to DeAndre Hopkins when he was there. You saw him all the time doing, like, how the hell is he doing this? And now he's giving you his secrets. Man, it don't get much better than that.
Mm-hmm. Just to piggyback on you, that I thought of just now. Here's a guy in Deshaun Watson who we don't know how he's dealing with life and the pressure that he's dealing with. Or it could all be fake and he's pissed off. But we know that he's been through the ringer, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And he might not play again. We don't know. Right. You and I don't know that. So I think you put a young guy in with somebody that might not play or his career's up in the air or whatever he's going through, it is a positive in my book, to your point, because he's done it before. And I feel like Deshaun is the kind of guy that would say, don't make the same mistake I made. Don't do this, and be that much more helpful. That's the kind of person that I believe he is, especially like you said, these three young black quarterbacks all together. I just think that's a fellowship, and I think nothing but positivity can come from that. That's just the way I look at it. If I was his coach, I would be all for that.
Hey, Phil, great stuff, buddy. I appreciate it. As always, let everyone know where they can find you and your work online.
Yes. The tapeneverlies.com, www.thetapeneverlies.com, right there. Patron membership, $7 a month as the paints begin to fill up. And when I say that, as football begins, now I'm going to have new paint to show on the tape. And we have so much planned, including this guy, Shawn Sierra, coming on, looking at running backs and everything else, breaking down X's and O's. Me and my father, we have former Bears coming on, and we go to the tape to tell the story. We don't go to Brad Biggs or the Bears blog or any of these people to tell a narrative where there's an agenda or some sort of a bias attached to it. The tape is going to tell the story of why this happened, or who's standing out, or what center should be playing and why. Not up in the air. There's no area of remorse. There's just an answer. Why? This is why. So this weekend we'll be looking at receivers Demarius Bird, and we're going to be looking at Marquise Goodwin with the old paints, because that's all we have from them. So we're going to look back at what these guys bring to the table and why Chicago Bears fans should be excited about them being on this roster with Darnell Mooney and probably the fastest receiving core, back to the FieldTurf, Shawn, that the Bears have had in the longest of times. They've always tried to find these guys like Jack Jackson, Capel, if you remember these, John Capel, these 4-2 guys, but they were just track guys. These two guys, though, you're going to be excited. They're football players that, oh, just by the way, happen to be track guys. And if you don't believe in Darnell Mooney, I think you really got to recognize what he was able to accomplish as a rookie is unbelievable when you look back on his performance. So we're going to take a deep look at that. Me, my father, and our guy across the pond, Bearlissimo, on these receivers tomorrow around 10 a.m. East. So that's 9 Central. Breaking down the tape on the Tape Never Lies. You can find me on Instagram at Phil_Atoshin. Right there. I said it all. I went over your time. I apologize.
Don't worry about it, man. It's all good. Hey, we'll talk soon, Papa. All right?
Love you guys. Ivan, love you, bro. And Shawn, you know how I feel about you. And
likewise.
Steph says, get ready for Galaga Championship 2021. October.
Oh, yes, baby. Bring it.
Don't sing it.
Don't sing it. Bring it.
Bring it. Love you guys.
All right, man. We'll talk soon. Guys, that was Phil Atoshin, the draft doctor himself. Always good to talk with him. Good to talk Bears with him. Man, 3 hours has come and gone. Unbelievable. What a phenomenal week, guys. Whew. Want to thank our guest, Darnell Mayberry, driving through the boonies, man. Took time out to call us, talk a little NBA Finals, talk Bulls. Great stuff with him. And, of course, our guy, DDP, the draft doctor, Phil Atoshin himself. Also want to thank Joseph Phillips for chiming in. Good stuff with him, as always. And I want to thank my executive producer, Elliot Baez, my social media guy, Clarence Counsel, my co-host in absentia, Maya Kai, and this guy right here who makes sure everything runs smoothly, Ivan Vargas. So for Clarence Counsel, Elliot Baez, Maya Akai, and Ivan Vargas.
Yeah, I'm cool with Justin working out with, Deshaun and that. But like I said, man, just keep it to working out, dog. Just keep it to working out, dog. Just keep, look. Hey, it's still allegedly.
Alleged.
But keep your ass away, all right? We need you. We need you. We come this far. Don't screw it up now. It hasn't even started yet. Don't screw it up now.
Hadn't even started. Yeah, just take quarterback advice from Deshaun Watson. Don't take recovery advice.
Recovery advice.
Yeah, I got this great masseuse to help you recover.
Yeah.
Hey, so for those guys, I'm your boy, the Superback Shawn CR. We're going to take a 69-hour break. We'll be back Monday, 9 a.m. to noon Central Standard Time. Game 3 of the NBA Finals is Sunday. It's going to be awesome. So make sure you follow Sports Zone Chicago on all our social media platforms. On Facebook and Instagram, it's at Sports Zone Chicago. On Twitter, at Sports Zone Chi. Now we can say, have a great weekend, folks. 2 more words for you. We out.